Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul-led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD, and this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs. The fire is calling. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet knowing rising in your chest, the one that says, there's more than this. You've spent years holding it all together, smiling through the ache, trying to belong in places that never truly saw you. But you were never meant to walk alone. The loneliness you carry isn't a flaw, it's a memory of the circles we once sat in, the laughter, the truth-telling, the way we used to heal just by being together. This wound between women, it's not yours alone. It was carved by fear, by fire, by systems that forgot the sacred. And now, we are the ones who remember. Healing this wound isn't small work. It's world work. It's the kind of quiet revolution that begins in the heart and ripples through generations. So if something in you stirs when you hear this, if your body whispers yes, trust it. That yes is the sound of the fire calling you home, to yourself, to each other, to the village that never truly died. Come sit with us, light a candle, and let's remember together. Welcome, sister. Take a breath with me for a moment. Beautiful in breath and a long out breath, because I want you to really land here, because this conversation isn't an easy one, but it's the one that has been waiting for us for generations. This episode is called Healing the Sister Wound, and if those words make something in your body stir, if you feel a little ache, a tightening in your chest, or maybe even a deep exhale of relief, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. I am recording this actually on Wednesday afternoon in my living room, my new yellow sofa. Those of you that are watching this on YouTube, it's a chilly, very autumnal day in October here in the UK. And something really big has been stirring me for a little while. And the reason I'm recording this now is because on Friday I will be in London at the Om Yoga show. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity to share with you all that's been moving in me right now, because it's been huge. This week has been hugely productive. It's been like full on, full steam ahead. Finally, I feel like I've landed back and it's my creative buzz and my creative time, and I am deep in the sister wound. Not deep in it from a ugly place of like I'm feeling the wound, but from a place of like, wow, I'm so ready to talk more openly about this, because for so many of us, Our first wounds didn't come from men or even the outside world. They came from other women, even before our friendship groups and peers, we were brought up, all of us were brought into the world by a woman, all of us. And whatever that looks like or feels like or that connection is with, there's that aspect of the mother wound. We'll dive into that another time, but they kind of are all interlinked because generationally, whatever your mum was moving with when she birthed you, you're moving with in this lifetime, and her mum and her mum's mum and her mum's mum before her, 7 generations of DNA, of that golden thread that runs all the way through your lineage to now. So it isn't even that it's the women that are perhaps in your life, it's that this is something we carry generationally, and it's time for it to change. It's time for us to recognize, that those friendship groups that turned cold from like the gossip and the comparison and from feeling like we didn't belong, even in the places that were meant to hold us. That's what we call the sister wound. And it's the pain of separation between women, the mistrust, the judgment, the fear of being seen. It's the voice that whispers, I'm not enough, but also I'm too much. It's what keeps us competing instead of connecting. It's what keeps us hiding those parts of ourselves because somewhere along the line, another woman taught us it wasn't safe to shine. I've lived it so many times over. For years, I found myself trying to fit in at school, in the beauty industry, even in kind of spiritual spaces that were meant to be safe. I say that in inverted commas because if you've not watched my videos around, safety, go find them, because actually, even the fact that you can call a spiritual space safe just irks me a little bit. But for me, that is the epitome of why those spaces are not safe if we're not speaking to these things. Because I didn't ever feel safe walking into a space of women, into a women's circle. I'd watch other women form tight circles while I kind of stood on the outside wondering what was wrong with me. And yeah, I can square it away with myself. It was my ADHD. It was my my introvertedness. It was my extrovertedness. It was my too muchness. It was my not enoughness. It was all of those things. But actually, there wasn't anything wrong with me. And when I finally did find belonging, then I would overgive or overperform or shrink just to keep it. I would never be able to just fully be myself and know that that was okay. And the sister wound lives in those moments when we silence ourselves to be liked, when we judge another woman because she's doing what we've been afraid to do. Now, let's talk about judgment, right? I cannot abide when someone says this is a non-judgmental space because, again, that's BS, because you will carry judgment, I will carry judgment. It is within our bones, it's how we are as human beings. It's what we do with that judgment that has an impact. So, here we are talking about one of those sister wounds, like we as women, we judge another woman, like we do. And, that's where those wounds get deeper and deeper and deeper. So when we judge another woman because she's doing what we've been afraid to do, or she's shining too brightly, or she's being too much, when we feel that ache of loneliness, even when we're surrounded by others, that's the sister wound. And here's the truth, right? Like, it didn't begin with us. Like I've just said, it's ancestral, it's cultural, it's been passed down through centuries of conditioning that taught women to compete, to fear each other, and to survive by disconnecting. When the witch hunts happened, women learned that sisterhood could be dangerous. When patriarchy rose, women learned to seek approval from men, not from each other. When media told us what beauty, success, and worth should look like, We learned to measure ourselves against each other instead of remembering that we are reflections of one another. I'm laughing because everybody's starting to come home from work, and there's my judgment, right? The boy racers are all back with their loud cars in our street, and I'm laughing because actually most of them are owned by women who are amazing and doing really well for themselves, and driving their little sports cars around, and they're loud and they're funky and they're loving it. But there's that judgment, right? There's that thing, there's that place. So let's just take a breath, because what I'm sharing with you is big. It's big, and you may only just be really hearing these words for the first time, because we think it's normal, right? Normal. It's normal for women to be like that with each other. It's normal for success to be on the back of somebody else. It's normal for media to tell us that we need to, be more beautiful, have less grey hairs, have less wrinkles, look perfect, not, be super skinny to be liked. All of those things, we really have learned to measure against each other instead of remembering that really we're reflections of each other. And that pain runs really, really deep. But so does the medicine, because beneath the wound lies something so ancient and something so holy, like a memory that we all belong to each other. Before the systems that divided us, women gathered. We shared stories, food, rituals. It's why this podcast is called Around the Kitchen Table. We birthed and grieved and healed together. We were each other's safety, wisdom, and reflection. And that remembering is really rising again. That's why I created Sacred Sister. Something in me stirred to know that this has to change. And that's what this journey is really all about. So, maybe you felt it lately too, that real ache for deeper connection, especially as we lean into the cooler winter months in the UK here. Like we can sit ourselves in front of the telly and stare into space, read a book. All of those things are beautiful and great, but there's real magic in connection with each other. And we tend to become even more isolated in the winter because we hide from each other, right? Because it's warmer and cozier in front of the fire. Maybe you've been hurt by other women and you don't even realize how much it still affects your life. And maybe you struggle to trust female friendships, to open up, or to truly be seen. And maybe you keep yourself busy, constantly doing, constantly achieving, because slowing down means you might have to feel how lonely you really are. Sister, you're not broken. You're not broken. You are remembering. And this wound is not who you are. It's what you came here to heal. And when one woman heals it, she begins to heal it for all of us. And that's how we restore the village. So this week, I'm really inviting you to join me for something really special. I've created a 3-day journey called Healing the Sister Wound. And it's not a course, it's not a performance, it's not about fixing yourself. It's an invitation truly back to belonging. Over 3 days, we're going to explore the roots of sisterhood, where it began and how it shows up in your life. The walls, like these solid walls that we build to protect ourselves, that we're kind of living behind, and how to begin softening them with compassion. And the pathway home, how to begin to really trust again and to reconnect, and to remember that we're not in competition. We are in connection. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be spiritual or know the right words. You just need to be willing to show up as you are. That's more than enough. Because here's what I know. Because I've witnessed this and watched this so much in the journey of the last 5.5 years of Sacred Sister. And the thousands and thousands of women's stories I heard before that time when I was working as a therapist. You know, when women gather, honestly, softly, with no masks and no fixing, something shifts. We start to breathe again. We start to see each other, not through the lens of judgment, but through the eyes of compassion. And we start to remember that we were never meant to do this alone. And I believe with my whole heart that when we heal the sister wound, we heal the world. And that's a big, big responsibility and a big statement to make. But consider it. Consider why we have been put in this position for all of these years to stay apart. Have you ever considered the reason that that happened and it continues to happen is because together, we're really, really fucking solid and strong. And when we come together, you know, just think, right? Just think. And I'm not saying that you know all women in power are amazing, because there's a lot that maybe are not, but how many of those have truly healed this wound and are truly not in their masculine trying to prove something to the masculine? You know, it's another story. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But we are magic together, and we make such a difference. And when we heal, when this generation says no more, no more, let's come together, let's pull together, let's see how this looks, and we teach our girls to do the same, our grandchildren are going to grow up in a very different world. So if this conversation has stirred something in you, it's a little bit short and sweet, but I think it probably has the impact it needs to really hit home. If you feel that yes is really rising in your chest, then I really want to invite you to come and join me. You'll find all the details in the show notes somewhere around here, or check out sacred-sister.co.uk. It's completely free to join. We're going to have some fucking fun along the way. And I promise you, this may just be the beginning of a healing that absolutely changes everything. Because, as I've said, you were never meant to walk alone. Like, you belong and you always have. So thank you for listening and for being here. If you're in London this weekend, come and find me at the Om Yoga Show. I would love to see you. I've got a workshop on the Saturday at 1 o'clock, all around finding yourself in the hustle and bustle of the world. And on Sunday afternoon, I've got a workshop on the Goddess Morning. So how to really come back to, you know, the morning space that you deserve, that isn't based in hustle culture. It's based in you really listening to yourself and your inner world. So come and see me at Om Yoga if you're around. But I really want to thank you for listening, like for being here, for being part of this remembering, because this is a part of my journey. It's a part of my journey to show up. My sister wounds of not being chosen, not being good enough, always being the fat kid, not being the cool kid, not, you know, just not, not, were really big. Me just hiding and only feeling safe in my own company was real, is real. And so for me to show up and do this podcast every week, as often as I can, is a really big deal. And that's part of me healing my sister wounds that say, you know, I'm going to show up regardless. One of you might watch this, nobody might watch it. Thousands of you, hopefully, maybe this one will be the one that goes viral because you share it with all of your sisters and say, hey, you need to fucking hear this because this woman talks some shit and she talks some sense in that shit. And she says, you know, she tells it as it is, and she's like on a mission to create a movement of women that are healing so that we can show up in the world in a different way, not with all our labels, not just being mum, wife, colleague, worker, but really and truthfully to touch into that part of us that wants more, that part of us that knows that life can be different, that part of us that's rediscovering our deeper feminine that says, yeah, I'm here. I am here. And I want you as another woman to come on the journey with me, because let's do this together. That's healing. I met up, and digress slightly before I finish. I met up with a beautiful sister who I met this summer at Sacred Sister. She came for the first time, and we went out for a cuppa and some brunch last Friday, because I now live in a cool place. I can go for walks and go for brunch with friends. It's like amazing. And I realized, that I don't do that. I literally do not do that. I have, people think I must have loads of women in my life, and I don't. Like, I have women that are a part of my community. I have women that are sisters to me. Like, I absolutely know I could lean on them at any time. But to let people really close to go just for a coffee and chat, it's a weird kind of dynamic for me. Because usually that ends with me being let down somehow. It's always been the same. Eventually I just don't fit in anymore, and no one bothers to call anymore. And then you go through that fear of rejection all of the time. And we sat there and we had the most beautiful grown up adult conversation that also spoke about, okay, what happens if we fall out? What happens if this doesn't kind of work? What happens if, it was such an honest, deep conversation and agreements between us that said, this is how I want to show up in this relationship, because friendships, sisterhood, relationships, they all take time and energy and effort. So why would you do that if you weren't really open to committing to what does that really mean for us to be in each other's lives, in each other's spaces? So I'm really open to that now, and I wouldn't have been open to that for quite some time because it just felt icky all the time. And maybe it's menopause, maybe it's being 50, maybe it's not giving a shit, I don't know. But there's a part of me that knows and is craving now that even Sacred Sister can't grow without other women. If I'm going to create a movement that says we're here, like it's like a self-worth, self-love connection to women and sisterhood, we're going to create a movement that says, like, that's it, Sacred Sister is this, and we are moving forward. I can't do that by myself. And so I need you and you need me, and we all need each other. And even that makes me feel icky, right? I've never needed anyone or anything in my life because I'm fiercely independent, because I can't trust anybody, I want to trust you with everything that I have, that I want to share with you. And I want to listen deeply to what you have to say because you're important. Anyway, that went off on a tangent. I could probably go off on a million tangents because I'm really passionate about this work. I'm really passionate about this work, and I'm really passionate about the reality that, I see a lot of and speak to a lot of clients and women one-to-one, and I can guarantee you the sister wound runs through virtually everything that I connect with them on. So the dogs are telling me it's nearly dinner time. I am going to connect with you soon. If this has touched something in you, check it out. Come and just be a part of that beautiful 3 days. It's going to be recorded, so it doesn't matter if you can't make it actually at 11:11, which is the time I'm going to hold them. We're going to create a beautiful, powerful private group for this to happen inside of, so that you will have a container of amazing women that have been through this journey, and come out the other side with you over Samhain. Like, what a perfect time to be in your witchy self and to really declare that you are really wanting to heal this wound so that we can grow deeper together. Anyway, I'm going to speak to you real soon. Take care. Lots of love. Hope that you have an amazing weekend. Laura out.